Ladies and gentlemen, Boss Number Two podcast is in full effect. Gonna give you guys some really good content. Spoiler alert, okay, I don't have kids yet at my job, so I'm studying up on curriculum. I won't have kids until October. So I've been pretty bored, honestly, and I can't really do much with the service and whatnot. So I actually wrote a lot of crap down that you guys are gonna like a lot today. But this segment that I'll start with, I did not write anything down, but week number one is officially in the books. There's a lot of things that had happened, a lot of stuff that's going to be put in place. I think the upset of the week goes to Paul. It took a Travis Kelce, or no, I'm so used to you having Kelce, I'm sorry, Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes to get the job done and combine for over 60 points. But you pulled out an upset victory against a team that I think is probably flex alone, well, not counting flexes, I think one of the strongest teams in the league. On top of that, we saw myself and Rob Coffey in just an ugly matchup. A lot of teams were not prepared. That is a lucky victory by my end. I'm not going to sugarcoat that one bit. Johnny J. Fresh, who I thought was going to walk away with the most points in the week, did not, but he still got a victory over Alex, who it looks like the harsh curse is looming over you. Lamar looks like poop, and even though Marquise Brown scored a touchdown, that is not a team I would like to stack. The matchup between Patrick and B Magic was very, very interesting, but in the end, B Magic did come away with a victory. Looked a little nervous at first, and one thing to keep in mind is the B Magic victory happened with Josh Allen not looking very good, so I thought that was an impressive victory as well. The David Sutton versus Allen Williams matchup, one thing I did call was I was taking the under on that one, and I was correct. It was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be very, very low scoring. Allen had raised a few eyebrows in a positive way, for myself included, and I'll talk a little bit about that. I think the biggest takeaway from this one is I think even though the loss was to Allen Williams, I think Allen Williams found a lot of interesting things about his team. Whereas even though David Sutton walked away with a victory, in the long term, I'm not saying this is only week two, so there's no panic button, but there are some things to kind of keep an eye on. Andre Jones versus the champion, our defending champion, Vintage One, Vintage Harsh, came out swinging and hit home run after home run in this one. Kyler Murray, absolutely amazing. Now, on top of that, Deebo Samuel. Everybody thought it was going to be Brandon Ayuk, and it looks like this man in the 8th or 7th round is reaping the benefits off of his former friendly favorite receiver. This is now 3 years in a row. He has been employed by Harsh Industries. Unbelievable. And on top of that, Adam Thielen in a game where I thought Minnesota, if the Vikings are going to trail, they're going to be passing. And Adam Thielen, touchdown regression. What? Harsh is making us look a lot of stupid. Despite the running back department not producing for the Vintage One, he still put up 150 plus points. Absolutely astonishing. If I forgot a matchup, it probably wasn't that memorable, but I think I went down pretty much all of them. Things I want to talk about, the waiver claims. I'll go into those really. I'm going to do a speed round because I do have a lot to talk about on these matchups today. Yeah, I am the Quintez Cephas bidder of the week. I am not taking any chances. Larry Roundtree, Fab. Look, my philosophy, guys, is I think people overvalue it a little bit too much because the minute somebody gets down, everybody's going to be in a bidding war for somebody else. You got to stay ahead of the curve. You got to have that one step zig when everybody else zags. I'm not sitting around. I am not waiting. Larry Roundtree is a guy that, although I beat, I don't think he's anything special. The Chargers offensive line has been much improved from years past. Check that box. Austin Eckler is very, very injury prone and has never played a full 16. Check that box. The other box that I would like to check off on here is this. He has already played 30% of the snaps and is already over Justin Jackson, his workload and his snap percentage. On top of that, already got 8 carries as a rookie in week 1. Now, do I think he's going to be the lead back? Maybe. This is a new coaching staff who drafted Larry Roundtree. This staff has no allegiance to Justin Jackson, has no allegiance to Josh Kelly. Just going to throw that out there right there. Austin Eckler is either going to be limited or, when are they going to learn? I love Austin Eckler. I think he's a great player. But we see this time and time again, even with the Ty Montgomerys of the world years ago, man. if the guy seems like he's a cheat code for fantasy and it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. I think Austin Eckler, yes, can produce at a full workload, but his body can't hold up at a full workload pace. And already he's been on the injury report with a hamstring. Yeah, I don't care. Because if he goes down, Larry Roundtree's going for a huge wallop of dollars. I don't care if I spend $57. If he busts, that's something I'm going to have to live with. But that was my rationale behind it. Overall, I give this bid a D. The reason why I'm saying it's a D and it's my own, okay, it's week 1. There's nothing set in stone yet. And the upside is very murky at best that he's a 6th-round guy. But I am willing to take that risk. Hindsight, if you want to call this, Larry Roundtree was ranked inside my top 50 running backs during the draft. I chose not to draft him because Justin Jackson was not cut yet. And because of that move not being done, I didn't have the cojones to take him. So what did I do instead? I did this thing, and I spent some draft or fab budget on him. Yes, was it worth the $57? That's unknown. Is he going to be a workhorse guy? That's unknown. What is known, though, is that the coaching staff is already thrusting him into the in-between tackles role. Austin Eckler, guys, let's get it through everybody's head. He's a great football player, but he can never hold up if he keeps getting the bulk, the workload of everything. You see what happens. He gets hurt every single time when he's in a workload spot. Over periods of time, his body is just going to break down. Yes, he does crazy workouts. Everybody does crazy workouts. Did we not forget the pictures of Jerick McKinnon shredded doing lower ab workouts? And then you're also talking about my man, Christine Michael. The whole reason why the guy was drafted because he was a freak athlete and he sucked. So even though I'm a big Austin Eckler fan, long-term outlook is just, it doesn't even look good for him. So that's my rationale behind it. $37 go to Mark Ingram. This was a big bid. This, to me, I don't think Johnny thinks Mark Ingram is good. Johnny's running backs are thinning out. Raheem Mostert is now on the IR. He is forced to start Naheem Hines. He's already looking for an RB2 because he's going to need it. And on top of that, Najee Harris in a full workload didn't do very much. So I think Johnny is saying, look, I need somebody that I can start now until I get something to bet figured out. Because of that, this is an urgency bid. I didn't look at all the bids, nor do I care, because a lot of these guys I'm not so big on. Yes, Mark Ingram is a guy that we know. Bottom line is this, the guy had 26 carries and didn't even break 100 yards. It's freaking awful. He scored a touchdown, and he's not involved in the passing game. He's touchdown or bust. I give this waiver claim for $37, and because of the sense of urgency alone, I'm going to give Johnny this waiver claim a C. I don't think there's a lot of upside going on here. I don't think he's a lottery ticket guy winner. He's 31 years old. Let's not kid ourselves. I think what's going to happen, and I know Paul has the other package of this, what I'm starting to see here is if Mark Ingram is the piece to go down, I do think that Phillip Lindsay becomes a low-end RB2 just because Mark Ingram is not, I repeat, Mark Ingram is not involved in the passing game. He's such a boring guy. The only reason why you spend fab is if you don't have a set RB2 in place or you're in desperate need of a running back ASAP right now. I think Johnny had the right call going in mind there. Not faulting him. I know Mark Ingram sucks, but this is not a move that he wanted, but he had to do it. That's the difference. Next, we had the other guy, $37 looks like, Tony Jones. This was my number 2 running back. Tony Jones is in a great offense. This is a guy that I thought was going to be the most fab dollar bid. Johnny dropped the first coffee dropped, and then Johnny dropped him. He got a lot of carries early on. There are going to be some games where Tony Jones pops off because unlike what the Chargers do with Austin Eckler, I know my tone's a little bit loud. The minute Alvin Kamara has a game where he touches the ball for like 30-plus times, his workload is eased in the running game and they bring somebody else in. I mean, how many times have we seen Latavius Murray's of the world and the Mark Ingrams have a good game after Alvin Kamara goes off? The thing with Kamara is he's had such a safe floor that you don't got enough I can't even talk. Goddamn. You don't even have to worry about everything else in place. I'm very caffeined up if you can hear in my voice. I like this claim a lot. This is a guy, again, you don't want to wait until Kamara goes down because then you're blowing all your fab, and then guess what? You're fighting with everybody else. I love this move by Alan Williams. I actually give this claim, Alan, you're going to actually be surprised. I give this a B- because I actually, and you're going to see when I break down your matchup, I actually don't think you're in need of running backs at this point right now. I know it sounds crazy that you're the one who doesn't need it, but I think you want some insurance and you like stashing these guys with unlimited. I don't know what his upside is, but I'll take the number 2 back in a Saints offense. B minus. Similar to the Giants situation, Sterling Shepard goes for $21. I had to panic when I saw Trey Sermon get inactive. Unfortunately, Sterling Shepard didn't really do much for me, but now he did really good in week 1. Coffee spending $21. Love this move for Rob Coffee. He needs a Jerry Jeudy replacement for the time being. This is a short-term investment. I love the call here. I'm going to give Rob Coffee a solid B on this. Reason why? Kenny Golladay is not the answer in New York. Kadarius Toney still learning the playbook. Darius Slayton is nothing more than a deep threat. Sterling Shepard with Golden Tate gone now plays the slot role. He's going to get peppered with targets. He is much better in the slot than he was on the outside. And let's not forget, guys, out of Oklahoma, this guy was, praised up pretty well. He's just never lived up to the expectation in the NFL. Why, everybody? He was playing behind Odell Beckham in the pecking order and injuries. So if you have a healthy Sterling Shepard, and even last year he kind of showed out. I mean, I drafted him. It's a shame he went off. Should have dropped Kylan Hill, but I guess I was kind of panicking on my end. I give this one a solid B because this is more of a sense of urgency, and he might be a flex option the rest of the year, and to be quite honest, because the Giants suck and they're going to be behind. Next, the Broncos receivers we knew were going to get claimed after Jerry Jeudy. I actually went out of my way and went KJ Hamler over Tim Patrick. From a sense of urgency, I don't think it's urgent enough. I'm going to give this one a C+. Hamler, we've seen have the biggest games, not counting Courtland Sutton because he didn't play last year. Tim Patrick was the more consistent guy. Hamler, I think, out of nowhere can go off. Now, KJ Hamler last year, they drafted they drafted Jeudy, and then they drafted KJ Hamler because I think they like what they have out of KJ Hamler. And the other thing I want to talk about, Teddy Bridgewater is the guy who's very accurate. The locker narrative just came into place in case you guys didn't see Twitter. Hamler was always with the first team as well in the preseason. I know he didn't start out in the regular season, but they used him in there. A lot of people think he might be a gadget guy. I think he's a lot better than that. He can play the slot. He can play the deep threat role. I think there's a lot of, while I don't want to say upside, I do think that he is going to be a guy you can throw in a flex spot. You might even see it this week. So on top of that, I'm going to say why I'm going to give this one a C+, and from Coffee's standpoint, I'm going to give his Tim Patrick guy a C+, because you're handcuffing Jerry Jeudy. I'm a little bit worried about Courtland Sutton. I think that he's still not 100%. I think they're being very cautious with his workload, and if that's the case, Tim Patrick can go off. You saw last year with a really shitty, excuse my French, Drew Lock, that he filled in that role perfectly. They profile similar. They're long, lanky guys. They're great jump ball receivers. And even though they might not have the best separation in the world, they can ball out and make plays. The only reason why I didn't do Tim Patrick over a guy like KJ Hamler is because of Teddy Bridgewater and at quarterback. If Lock was there, you could have more chunk plays. But with Teddy B, he has to put the ball on accurate, and I think that skill set would go better with somebody who can separate a little bit better than Tim Patrick. Tim Patrick was your YOLO type receiver, like a Kenny Golladay. That's why I always give the Courtland Sutton, Kenny Golladay comparisons. So I don't see Teddy Bridgewater giving him those YOLO moments. I think his floor is somewhere around 6 to 7, and it's like a touchdown or bust for Tim Patrick. You saw the way Jeudy was used. Now, Jeudy is in a class of his own. I think he was going to finish as a wide receiver 1. But if I'm putting money on the table, the obvious money would go to Courtland Sutton being the guy to, be the go-to guy. But from a route running standpoint, I think Hamler is better than all the other guys. So other than Jeudy, obviously. So that's why I'm putting my money on it. Or worst case scenario, they stay in 2 tight end sets and this becomes a very boring offense. I would not be all surprised if Albert Okui-Bunam kills Noah Fant's value as well as these other wide receivers. This could just be a total mess, but I think from a sense of urgency standpoint, Mr. Rob Coffee, I do like that a lot. We saw this one coming, sound the alarm, woohoo, woohoo, Van Jefferson. The guy I took last year who was big on the hype because I thought he was going to beat out Josh Reynolds. Got to get more caffeinated for that one. The school of vintage hard knocks has loved Van Jefferson. I don't know why, but it looks like he's going to be the deep threat in this offense. We saw the way this Matt Stafford has complete control over this offense. McVay doesn't have to hide anything anymore. Congratulations. And Matt Stafford, if you look at his time back in the Detroit Lions, the two areas of the field that Matt Stafford loved to target were the middle and deep down the sidelines. Those were his favorite areas to target, which is why I took Cooper Kupp, which is why I drafted Tyler Higbee. I was really nervous to see what was going to happen with the deep threat guys, but if Van Jefferson takes that next step, I think this could be a steal of a pickup from the vintage one. Jefferson, though, is a guy you're going to have a lot of patience with. Now, us being our fantasy, running backs first mentality, a lot of people like to just stash running backs, but I feel like stashing wide receivers might start to be the trend a little bit. He only had 3 targets, so you look at it and it was a touchdown or absolutely nothing. This guy was not involved at all. But when you look at the field stretchers that they have, Deshaun Jackson is falling off a cliff. Robert Woods isn't used as a deep threat role. It's only if they scheme up wheel routes for him. That's the only way he's going to get open, stretching way down the field, if you know what I mean. There's a possibility Van Jefferson can be a deep threat guy, but my only concern is I don't think he's going to ball out and be this breakout receiver. I think he's more inclined to be a boomer bust guy that you can use in DFS. But regardless, he's going to have a much better season than he did last year because let's not forget Josh Reynolds last year in this role with a really bad Jared Goff at about, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but maybe 2 to 3 games. But now that he's not there, they're going to say, okay, you're going to be the guy who's going to go deep down the field. He profiles like that guy. His speed it's good. I don't think it's anything outstanding, but he's got the size as well. And if Stafford can work that rapport, because if you look at the guys Stafford had on the sidelines with Calvin Johnson, Marvin Jones, Kenny Golladay, if they start to incorporate back shoulder fades with this guy, he's going to put the league on notice because Matt Stafford is very, very accurate, but I don't know if that's in Van Jefferson's skill set yet. So it's something to keep an eye on. We're already 17 minutes into this segment. New Orleans D for $7. I think I would have not dropped $7, but maybe you're really desperate for a defense. Jawan Johnson, I got to admit, I thought this was going to Andre. That looks like an Andre player, but Paul's got him. I am going to pass up on that. I'm not big on the pick. DJ Dallas going for $1. I think it's just a handcuff scenario. It's still Chris Carson's backfield. I'm not big on that move. And then that was pretty much it, guys. So I recapped everything. I have everything written down. Let's get into the games. All right, here we go. Week 2 is officially underway. I'm going to start off with this matchup. 2 men who went to the same college, who only really know each other because of college. I don't know where I was going with that. One person is coming off of a very impressive victory, and I texted him that because I was shocked that he shocked. I wouldn't say shocked the world. I think both teams were projected in the high 130s, but looking at the matchups alone, I did not think he had a chance. He proved me wrong in that one. And he's taking on a guy who he went to college with who has the harsh curse on him, and I think the curse is real. Paul Percall, 1-0 versus 0-1 Alex. I'm going to title this one, is this gold or is it fool's gold? Because it's week 2. Paul went off. Is this really gold? Is this happening? Or is this fool's gold? Or same for Alex. Was that just a fluke bad Monday night by Lamar and that's the reason why you lost? Or can we get things a little bit going here, ladies and gentlemen? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Now, Paul, you took somebody out of the lineup. Fact, I wrote all my notes down on a Tuesday. So the line, I believed, opened up at 135 to 121 in favor of Paul. So this is expecting to be a very one-sided victory. Paul, you got somebody out of your... Oh, because Beckham ain't playing again. What a shock. Okay. Thing that I do like about this matchup is that you have the quarterbacks playing each other, and they're playing each other in real life. So you got Patrick Mahomes versus Lamar Jackson. Let's not sugarcoat it. It's Patrick Mahomes. Lamar Jackson 2 years ago had a floor of 25, 30 plus. Okay? Fast forward to this year. or last year and even this year, he's not so flory like we thought we were getting. I don't know what's going on with Greg Roman and the Ravens, or maybe defense just figured out that this guy can't throw the ball. I'm sticking to my stance. If Lamar Jackson wants to win a Super Bowl ring, or if he wants to be competitive, he's going to have to do it with his legs. They're going to have to do the most boring offense possible. If I want, instead of me just completely taking a dump on Lamar, the only positive thing was Sammy Watkins didn't look too bad. He might be his, by default, best option in the passing game. They don't really have any running backs that can catch the ball. I don't like the Ravens this year at all. As far as the Mr. Paul Per Call side of things, the Raiders, Derek Carr threw 400 plus against this secondary because they couldn't get the run game going. Guess what? Chiefs don't run the game, run at all. If Jimmy Smith is out, yet again, they're going to take a lot of deep shots and they're going to score. I think this is a landslide. I'll take the Patrick Mahomes over Lamar Jackson. This is where I give you your big sigh. The wide receiver advantage, I'm going to go with Alex on this one because I like Devontae Adams in a bounce back, and I think Laviska Shenault might be a garbage time guy. Urban Meyer, by the way, is taking the USC job. He is going to steal the Jaguars' money. They're going to look like, I almost said that for it. They're going to look like complete puppets. I don't like Claypool and Golladay, Paul. You know this. They're 2 touchdown or bust for me. Kenny Golladay, yeah, I know he's the big offseason. I don't like that combination with Daniel Jones. Kenny Golladay needs a gunslinging type of quarterback, and Daniel Jones is very hesitant to make decisions. That's why I don't like it. Chase Claypool, again, I'm going to say this again, he played the least amount of snaps, even under Poo-Poo Smith-Schuster. I don't like it at all. I think this is an easy victory on the Alex side of the ball. Chris Carson and Jonathan Taylor versus Saquon Barkley and Miles Sanders. There's a lot of Qs in this matchup on your side, Alex. Give me the Chris Carson and Jonathan Taylor side. The one thing I like about the way Paul's team kind of wound up with, I know it's only week 1, but you got guys that are commanding workhorse backs. Chris Carson, guys, would always be a second. He would be where Joe Mixon goes every year if the guy stayed healthy. Just throwing it out there. And nobody should be shocked about that. The guy always commands the most touches in the backfield. He is strong. He just gets hurt a lot. While he's healthy, he's going to command. And the best part about Jonathan Taylor, if you were worried about Marlon Mack, don't be. Even if Nyheim Hines got 8 to 10 targets, so did Jonathan Taylor. And I'll tell you why. Because Carson Wentz is washed. He sucks. He's going to have to dump it off. Paul is going to wind up, if they're healthy, Paul's got low in running back ones. I'm sorry, I am not going to mention, well, Miles Sanders might be okay, but Saquon Barkley is going to be dog poo again. Give me the running backs things with Paul. Gronkowski versus Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is a one-hit wonder. He's Rick Astley at tight ends. He's a one-hit wonder. Give me Rob Gronkowski. The flex spots. Paul, I have no idea who in God's name you're going to throw in that flex. If I know you, Gesicki, no. Darnell Mooney is in a good matchup, but even that, you don't really have good flex options, do you, kid? I don't know. This one's on you because I don't even know. No, you might go Nelson Aguilar because it's the Jets. Tyreek Hill, is he going to go over the top against the Baltimore Ravens? Bet it. And the best thing, too, is if Kansas City wakes up in the first quarter, this could be a blowout again. I know the line is 3.5. Should be giving the Ravens 10. Anyway, flex side of things, Tyreek Hill alone, I'm going with that. Myles Gaskin, a lot of people are pushing the panic button because all 3 running backs were used, but I think he was used the most valuable out of all of them. Marquise Brown, I am not. No, thank you. No. Tampa Bay against Atlanta, though, might be the icing on the cake. Okay? The X factor in this matchup, believe it or not, is the Tampa D. I know that sounds crazy, but if Tampa D destroys and does what Philly did to Atlanta, which they're obviously capable of doing, especially at home, I think this gets way out of hand. Paul's 3 keys to victory. Mahomes and Hill have to connect. That's number 1. Number 2, you have the running back advantage by a mile. But I know on paper it doesn't look like it, but the running back advantage, you have to step it up in that department. And I think the other 3 key to victory is a TD from either Chase Claypool or Kenny Golladay. If those three things happen, I think it's a 401k lock of victory for Mr. Paul. Now, on the flip side, if Alex needs to win the three keys to victory, Lamar needs 30 plus. Okay, if you're going to be comfortable 20 plus, he's going against Pat Mahomes, and you're going against Pat Mahomes. He's going to need to keep pace with Pat Mahomes. That's key number one. Key number two, Davante Adams needs a vintage Davante Adams game, and I'm talking about over 20 points. If that happens with Lamar going off, you're in a good spot. And the third key to victory is Barkley plays on Thursday night, which is tonight as I am recording this. That means my man Saquon Barkley can't be limited, and unfortunately, spoiler for you, he is going to. So I'm going to take the Paul over on 135. I'm going to say Paul puts up 143. I'm going to take the Alex under at 121. I say he puts up 113. I think Paul wins in a landslide victory. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the other one. Second matchup I would like to call on this one, believe it or not. David Cryer versus Patrick. Cryer, I know what you're saying to yourself. Don't tell me this is going to be deja vu all over again like it was last year for you. Your team put up a lot of points. And you got the shit end of the stick yet again. I want you to take a deep breath. Calm down. It's only week one. There's a lot more football to play in the season. Patrick! Mr. Patrick, I think your and B Magic's matchup, I think, was one of the closest ones from what I can remember. And maybe you can bounce back in this week, because if you need to bounce back, your guys need to bounce back. Here we go. First thing I want to put up right now is quarterback fireworks. It's Aaron Rodgers taking on Justin Herbert, and both Herbert is in the shootout of the week. Aaron Rodgers is in probably the blowout of the week. My bold take here is that both quarterbacks will combine for over 70 combined total points in this matchup. Expect some fireworks, boys. Robert Woods and T. Higgins taking on DeAndre Hopkins and Keenan Allen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, not even close. I got to go with the Patrick side of this one. Hopkins is in a fast-paced matchup, and Keenan Allen is in the shootout of the week. I think Patrick does a lot of damage here, boy. Nothing wrong. I'm gonna say this right now. Higgins is going to deliver in the Chicago matchup because Joe Burrow is still going to probably throw for 40-plus times. And him and Chase and him and Higgins, I think, have the best connections. Robert Woods, though, you didn't like what you really saw. I know he had this touchdown to salvage his day. Let's see what happens with his usage in the Colts game. That's the only thing I'll say. Although Woods and Higgins, I don't think are going to be busts. I think they'll both hit double digits. I think Hopkins and Allen could shatter their projection total. Definitely. Okay, Christian McCaffrey and Darrell Henderson versus Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs. So the people who think Derrick Henry are going to fall off have already taken a victory lap in week one. I don't know what to think. He hasn't been good the last 2 or 3 games that he's played, if I can remember. And Josh Jacobs against the Pittsburgh Steelers is a terrible matchup. On the flip side, you got Christian McCaffrey. It's Christian McCaffrey. And then you got Darrell Henderson. So I'm going to go with the David side of the ball. I think there's more security. There's more volume here. Colts don't scare anybody at all, and it's a indoor matchup. Give me David Cryer on the running back spot. No fans versus Darren Waller. Did anybody see Monday night? Darren Waller, I think, had 13-plus targets, 15-plus targets. It was astronomical. Derek Carr loves Darren Waller. This was a fantastic reach by David Cryer. It's a reason why everybody was high on Darren Waller, and you should be. This match was a little bit tough, but I'm going to take the volume because I don't trust Noah Fant. Corey Davis and Devin Singletary versus Trutham and Damian Harris. Okay, so Corey Davis makes me a little nervous. Devin Singletary against Miami. Well, if Zach Moss is inactive, David Cryer, I don't know if you're listening to this. Devin Singletary might be the most boring player that you took in the draft that actually might be a secret weapon on your team if Zach Moss continues to be a healthy scratch. Flip side. I want to touch on Corey Davis for a second. Belichick's going to take him away. I worry about that a little bit. I don't know if he can because he doesn't have a Gilmore, but it's Belichick. Chase Edmonds. Okay, James Conner is dust. Chase Edmonds is awesome. Damian Harris in a really good matchup. Could he capitalize? I don't know. One thing to keep in mind, Damian Harris could be on a short leash after the fumble. Just want to keep that in mind. So in my notes, and we have San Francisco and Buffalo D. I'm not too big on either of them. In my notes, what I actually had, the scheme is a lot closer than I thought in my notes. Here are the Cryer keys to victory. Rodgers needs at least 20. You can't have 3 points and expect to win. Because of Pat's firepower on the receiving end, I think Woods and Higgins need to combine for over 30 points. David, I know you're looking at DeAndre Hopkins and Keenan Allen and saying to yourself, I am really, really nervous. They're making you shaking your boots, kid. And then Waller, I think, needs to get 15 plus because I don't think Noah Fant is that much of a threat. I've just never been a big Noah Fant guy. If those three things happen, I think you're on a really good path to victory. Mr. Patrick, in order for you to win this game, I think Derrick Henry needs 20 plus because you're dealing with Christian McCaffrey. Also, the running back 2, Josh Jacobs, I'm talking to you. You need to step up in a matchup because you're going to need all the help you can get in the running back department. And I honestly feel like as far as matchups are concerned, you have the flex advantage. Chase Edmonds and Damian Harris cannot bust in this because if they both do what they're supposed to do in projections, I'm not so big on Corey Davis this week, and Devin Singletary is not really a good player. You got to take advantage of that. If those three things happen for you, considering that you know that Hopkins and Allen are going to go off, I think you could have a path to victory. So right now, I actually am going to revise my notes a little bit. When I took a look at when I wrote this down on Tuesday, the score they had was, the projection was 132 to 128. The line has come down on Patrick's side to 126, and it's gone up 135 on David Cryer's side. I'm going to take the over for Cryer. I'm going to say 139. I actually think Patrick loses another close game because I'm going to say over the 126 mark, but I'm going to give you 131. I'm going to title this matchup of week number 2, New Flavored Coffee. Rob Coffee had some injuries to deal with, and like I said in my prediction for week 1, this Rob Coffee team is not fully to its potential yet, but the lottery tickets are in play. All the running back lottery tickets already are in play in week 1. Now, I'm going to throw out a little bit of a hot take here. Lottery tickets are fantastic. I love them. But if I have a lottery ticket, I want them to kind of build up their reps and then eventually take the starting gig. It's great to have a lottery ticket right out of the gate, and who doesn't want that? But I like them to kind of get comfortable first. Right now, you've got I don't know if it's an embarrassment of riches, but you got a lot of choices. But you did lose Jerry Jeudy, and you obviously had to work on the waiver wire and get some replacements for that. New Flavored Coffee takes on a man who walked away with a victory, got a little close at one point, and that is Mr. David Sutton. Here we go, boys. Okay, I'm sorry, Coffee. I'm going to go Dak Prescott over Jameis Winston. We're done here. Chris Godwin versus Juju Smith-Schuster, or Chris Godwin and Poo Smith-Schuster taking on Terry McLaurin and DJ Moore. Okay, let me go on the Coffee side of things. Chris Godwin is the Tampa receiver. If you're looking for just floor alone and you want to say, hey, listen, I'm at the blackjack table. I just won $100. Look, I'm not going to risk it. I want to cash out right now. That's what Chris Godwin is. He's the safest because of the role that he plays. Brady loves the middle of the field. He only goes deep when he needs to go deep, which is why I think, myself included at least, I didn't like Mike Evans this year. Chris Godwin is the guy who's going to have a sustainable floor. Poo Smith-Schuster, honestly, say what you want about his targets going up. Say what you want about his snaps going up. Bottom line is this guy sucks. He's a glorified tight end, and he's nothing more. I'm saying it right now. He is literally a tight end production. I don't know. Honestly, by season's end, I wouldn't be surprised if him and Tyler Higbee had the same amount of points. He's literally doing dink and dunk, everything underneath, intermediate, and he's a touchdown. Not a touchdown or bust, because if he doesn't get a touchdown, he's like 7 to 8. But if he hits a touchdown, it's like 15 to 16. He's a boring player. He sucks. I've been saying this forever and ever now. If the guy's name was something like John Smith, everybody wouldn't go goo goo gaga, but because his name is Juju, everybody loves this guy. He is trash. He is garbage. I don't care if it's the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't care. I don't care. Like, obviously, you have to start him now, so I'm not faulting you for it because you lost Jerry Jeudy, but I mean, no. This ain't it, Chiefs. Chief. Terry McLaurin against the New York Giants. Could this be a bounce back? Well, it's against James Bradbury, but I don't think that scares me. Moore is back. David Sutton, I want you to go outside right now. I want you to take off your shirt. I want you to bring Sko outside. I want you to play with Sko. Tell Sko how much you love her as a dog because you got the DJ Moore we thought we were getting last year. Joe Brady, where are you? Matt Rule, take a seat. Now, last year, why didn't you use him in the underneath role? What in God's name thought you thought Robbie Anderson was better underneath than DJ Moore going the vertical routes? God, they pissed me off so much. Congratulations, David. You got the Carolina Panther receiver to own. I don't care. Bottom line is this. They finally realized, hey, this Robbie Anderson guy runs really good deep routes, and I think he's a better deep threat runner than DJ Moore. Maybe we should reverse the roles. Oh, duh, I didn't think that was going to... Look. Not to mention the fact this, David, I have owned DJ Moore pretty much every year, and if there's one team where DJ Moore just loves to absolutely eat, go for seconds, go for thirds, go for fourths, go for fifths. It's the freaking Saints. With or without Marshawn Lattimore, and I think he's even out. Don't even matter. DJ Moore's best games have come against the New Orleans Saints. He loves him some jambalaya or some, I don't know. But DJ Moore's going off. Give me the David side of things only because of DJ Moore. Coffee, you can say what you want about Chris Godwin. David Sutton, I want you to go on DraftKings right now. I want you to take the over on receiving yards for DJ Moore. I want you to throw a prop bet on a DJ Moore touchdown as well. Look at his game log, not track log. He feasts on New Orleans every single time, kid. Thank me later for the free money I just put in your pocket. Next, Austin Eckler, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon. Advantage goes to David Sutton here, boys. Okay, Eckler is in a shootout, but again, look, for everybody who's saying, oh, no, Eckler's healthy, man. He goes on Twitch streams and he says, hey, guys, yeah, I'm feeling good, man. I'm ready to be out there. We're amazing. What is the guy going to say? Hey, guys, look, man, my hamstring is really bothering up, man. I don't think I could do it, guys. No. Nobody's ever going to say that and broadcast it in front of millions and millions of people. Come on now. He's a great running back, Coffee. I love the guy as well. I know he's part of Shaved Head Clan, and I know you have a very, special place in your heart. I get the Austin Eckler love, Rob Coffee. He's in a good matchup, though, so I'm not going to shit on him unless he gets hurt again. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, yeah, no, this ain't he's a Chief, but this ain't the Chief you want. Alvin Kamara and Joe Mixon, I got a big, big hot take coming up. They're going to feast. George Kittle versus TJ Hawkinson. Okay, so everybody now on Twitter, for those of you who follow Matthew Kelly, the Podfather, is already, after week one, has said TJ Hawkinson will outproduce George Kittle, and it's not a dumb statement. If the Lions are going to continue to get blown out, there are only three people who can catch the ball. It's Hawkinson and both running backs. But I have to go a tight end draw just because I'm going to respect George Kittle and the presence of George Kittle. Flexes. Oh, my God. Okay, I goofed up. Okay. So the last matchup I did was the Patrick matchup, and I saw D. Harris, and it was Deontay Harris. I thought it was Damian Harris. You actually have Damian Harris. Wow. Let me go with Coffee, Tyler Boyd, and Elijah Mitchell. Okay, so if there's one person who broke Twitter world, it was Elijah Mitchell. Here's my stance on Elijah Mitchell. Well played by Rob Coffee. This is how you win fantasy football. You take speculative ads before games start instead of saying, uh-oh. Man, if Elijah Mitchell was not picked up by Rob Coffee, everybody would be getting big more for this guy. But instead of wasting your dollars, think before crap happens. Now, obviously, I gambled on Hasty, and that was wrong. Congratulations, Rob Coffey. Elijah Mitchell, you're hearing a lot of comparisons. This is going to be Shanahan's Alfred Morris because it's a guy who's a sixth round or an undrafted guy. He's going to be the lead guy. Since we're on this topic, it seems as if Trey Sermon and Brandon Ayuk are in the doghouse. I think a lot is more concerning with Brandon Ayuk now that he's the last receiver to run in drills now. That just came out. And a lot of people are saying this is Dante Pettis part 2. Brandon Ayuk's a phenomenal wide receiver. This is probably going to be a disciplinary move. In what world do we live in where Kyle Shanahan actually thinks that Trent Sherfield is better than Brandon Ayuk and that JaMycal Hasty is better than Trey Sermon? Thanks, Kyle Shanahan. Anyway, off topic. Mitchell is going to get the 1A start. He's going to be rotated in with somebody else. I don't know who that's going to be. Can Boyd bounce back? Well, if they throw a billion of times, sure. But Joey Burrow likes his Jamar Chase connection a little bit. Damian Harris needs to get a touchdown or he's not doing jack. Michael Williams. All right. Let's talk about Mike Williams. Something was going on downstairs. I don't know what the hell that was. Mike Williams. Okay. You know I did not like this pick. Because every year we hear, this is a late guy, you can get late, and he just has not shown it consistently on an NFL level. Had a phenomenal week 1, I'll give you that. But I can't remember myself living in a world where Mike Williams followed up with another big game. Every big game this guy does, boom. Oh, where'd you go week 2? Where'd you go week 3? Then he'll come back probably week 6. Ladies and gentlemen, the life and tale of Mike Williams. Now, here's what I'll say. David Sutton, this is a phenomenal shootout type of a matchup, type of a game, and Justin Herbert didn't even look to check down at all. He was firing on all cylinders. Jared Cook here, KJ Hill, Keenan Allen, Jalen Guyton, and yes, Mike Williams was even involved in the action. Here's what I'll say, David. Mike Williams follows this game up with another solid performance in week number 2. I will start to acknowledge Mike Williams. But I've been through this before. It's like that one chick that, you always text. You see her once, and instead of once a week, it becomes once every 2 months. Because she's not committed. Just like Mike Williams isn't committed to becoming fantasy relevant. He uses as words of motivation, Mike Williams. I'm sick of this guy, seriously. Anyway, if I had to pick, I'm actually going to give the flex advantage to Rob Coffey because of what I just said. So if Rob Coffey takes you anywhere in this match, it's the flex. Because I think there's guaranteed, a little bit of guaranteed volume. New England D versus the Jets. Hey, Coffee, guess what? Jets D is going to be better, buddy. Los Angeles Rams defense against Indianapolis, though, looks like trouble as well because it's Carson Wentz. So I think that's a draw as well. Okay. All right. Here are my hot takes for this matchup. I am going to say that Elijah Mitchell goes under 20 points. That's my hot take. Second hot take. Mike Williams outscores both Juju Smith-Schuster and Tyler Boyd combined. Make it happen, Mike Williams. That's my hot bold take, or bold take, whatever you want to call it. I think Mike Williams outscores both Boyd and Juju Smith-Schuster combined. And the third hot take, Joe Mixon goes for 20-plus points yet again. Keys to victory. Rob, Austin Eckler needs to be not limited, because if he's limited again, you're not going to be happy. Another guy who needs to step up is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He needs to get his in this matchup. We constantly see it's the volume, but this is not a team who likes to run the ball. In your third coffee, I think you have a significant flex advantage as far as floor is concerned, and I think the flexes need to step up. David Sutton, if key victory number one, Kamara and Joe Mixon need to get over 50 points or close to 50. Number two, as the song goes by Billy Idol, when he goes, Mo, 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 DJ Moore feasts on the New Orleans Saints. And number three, I think you need at least one of your flexes to get a touchdown. If those three things happen, David Sutton will win. And now it's prediction time. When I looked at this line, it opened up at Rob Coffee 127 and it stayed there. David Sutton opened at 131. It's gone up to 133, and I absolutely agree. I think Rob Coffee puts up a valiant effort. I'm going to take the over on 127. I think Rob hits 135, but I am going to take the over on 133. And congratulations, this is the highest scoring team of the week is my prediction. I think David Sutton's team breaks. I'm going to say final score 135 Rob Coffee to 167 David Sutton as the highest scoring team and is going to put the league on notice. Okay, so fourth matchup that I'll be talking about really quickly is a good one. I think both teams really had solid week number ones as far as hitting. I think they hit their projections. And that's something you like to see. If you have a sustainable floor in week one and you got to sprinkle a little bit of upside, that's a good thing. We're going to have Andre, who I thought put up a really good week one. And a team. Andre, guess what, buddy? I like your team, so you're not going to get any hate from me. I'm calling it as it is. This is not Andre Jones of 2020. And the Magic Man, who went on a Cinderella run last year. One team 1-0, but you could argue that both of them should be undefeated at this point. I think that Andre Jones just got the shit end of the stick. Okay, Mr. Jones and beat Magic. Jalen Hurts versus Josh Allen. I'm going to take the Josh Allen bounce back game. I know everybody is like, oh yeah, Jalen Hurts is awesome, but it's the Atlanta Falcons defense, guys. Let's pump the brakes a little bit. Speaking of those Falcons, Calvin Ridley and Deontay Johnson against Stephon Diggs and Amari Cooper. Well, okay. Even though I said Andre, I know that these guys alone can command so many targets. They didn't do anything with it, really. Falcons made me a little bit concerned. Coffee thinks that Calvin Ridley is not a legit alpha wide receiver, and he's probably going to be taking his victory lap if he doesn't do anything here. But I like the guaranteed targets on both guys, but I like Diggs in a shootout. Well, not in a shootout, but I love Cooper. I think the Cowboys situation looks really, really, really good for Amari Cooper. I'm going to have to side with Diggs and Cooper on this one. Zeke and David Montgomery versus Nick Chubb and James Robinson. Well, I think that Nick Chubb can absolutely throttle the Houston Texans alone. He had 2 touchdowns. You might get another 2 touchdown performance here. But I think Zeke is a nice bounce back candidate and David Montgomery as well in a really soft matchup. They weren't joking when they said that he's the featured guy, and he looked really good against a stout Rams front. James Robinson makes me nervous. So because of that, I'm going to go the Andre side of the ball. Jared Cook versus Jonnu Smith, who cares? Antonio Brown and Kareem Hunt, Leonard Fournette and Melvin Gordon. I'm actually going to go with the Andre side here. I think AB is starting to get more comfortable with Tom. I, for one, think that Mike Evans is hurt. I know everybody's saying he's a buy low. I think he's just not healthy. Kareem Hunt might be used in garbage time situations if they want to rest Nick Chubb a little bit. Leonard Fournette, it's a great matchup, but I don't trust this Tampa Bay running back situation. B Magic, this is something you might want to think of if you're dealing, if you're looking for some depth. The only way I start Leonard Fournette is if you traded away some guys and your receivers were so stacked that you said, you know what, I'm just going to plug in Leonard Fournette every single week on my RB2 and hope for the best. Because if your receivers can cover you on that RB2 spot, it's a win-win situation. Melvin Gordon is in a good matchup, but they have already decided that it's not even going to be, though, Javonte Williams is the better running back. If Melvin Gordon doesn't break that long touchdown, you could probably say that Javonte Williams takes over this backfield. I've had Melvin Gordon a lot of years, and it's just the time is ticking. By the way, he looks very different without his dreads. Green Bay Packers, Pittsburgh Steelers. They're both really solid plays by both you guys, but I think Pittsburgh's got the better defense, so I got to go Pittsburgh. I don't even know you know what? I'm looking at my notes right now, and I didn't even pick a winner here, but I have my keys to victory. Key to victory, you got to feed Zeke. Number one. If Zeke Elliott doesn't do anything again, because Andre put up 130 without Zeke doing much. DJ Moore and Calvin Ridley, they got to continue to get those targets because I think that both have potential game scripts where they're going to go off. And then number 3, David Montgomery. Is he officially an RB1? Because if he makes it happen again, Andre, I told you I didn't mind that pick. I didn't like David Montgomery last year. I thought he was a great value at the 3rd round because everybody thought he was going to be a 2nd round type of guy. B Magic, if you want to win, Dallas has to be passing the whole time, which they probably are anyway. If Dallas continues to pass and pass and pass and pass, then you're benefiting from Mr. Amari Cooper. Chubb Dubs, he needs some touchdowns. And James Robinson, like, what's going on here? This is a tough one to call because I think that both these teams are almost, no, they're not set up similar. There's some differences. Ooh, in a very, 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 I don't even know who I picked. I'm having to do this on a spot. Sorry, guys. I'm going to actually go with my man. I think the difference maker here is Nick Chubb and Amari Cooper shootout potential. So I'm going to have to go be Magic. Okay, so I think that when I did all my notes and I was writing down certain things, I said that it was tough for me to pick a main event. This, to me, I think would be the co-main event, and it's only just because of record indicators. But the reason why I'm putting this matchup so high is because I do think that this has a lot of potential to be a nice game. If injuries don't happen, I think that this game alone can have a lot of back and forth potential. It might be one of those fun fantasy games to watch where you got red zone on, your guy scores, then the next thing happens, the guy you're facing, they're in the red zone, their quarterback scores. It's just going to be like a nice boxing match. I do like this a lot. I didn't write notes for this one, so I'm kind of going to wing it, but I do have some things I want to talk about. They are very bullish on this game as well. I think the lines have gone up from what I remember. I think Johnny was like at 130 something and Allen only at like 120 something. Johnny is now 133. He's moved up. That line's moved up. And even the Allen line has moved up to 128. Last week, okay, my mind changed on 2 teams, and it was these 2. And one coming down to earth. The other, I'm raising eyebrows a little bit if you listen to the first one. So when I looked at the way these matches were set up, week 1, I expected Johnny to score the most points. It didn't happen, but he still put up a serviceable 120, and that's with Mike Evans not doing anything and Julio Jones not doing anything. Spoiler alert, that might be continuing. The Allen side of things, okay? I gave him probably the lowest grade because, yes, he had some lottery tickets, but the move to get A.J. Dillon makes it another lottery ticket, so that's a check. But what I was concerned about was the receivers. Are they going to play right away, or are they going to have to get eased into the offense? The other thing that I'll say right now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm in court right now. I still can't get over the fact that 2 Vikings were his first 2 picks. I think that image, I can't get out of my head. It's like, yo, I see this girl, she's nice, yeah, but there's something wrong about her that I just can't get out of my mind. That image is bothering the crap out of me, and it still probably will, which is why I'm not as big. It's just, I'm not used to this Allen setup, but I think you did a good job with some other pieces here. So I think I'm starting to come around on the Allen side. The Johnny side, here's why I'm not talking bullshit. Okay. There's a secret holiday that none of you may not know about, and it's called Johnny Does a Trade after week 2. And after this week, that holiday starts, okay? So I'm looking at my calendar right now. The 20th, okay? September 20th, it officially begins. Johnny Does a Trade during the end of the week 2, start of week 3, countdown, okay? It happens every week. He sells somebody a whole bunch of BS, and they buy into it. The guy who's going to get sold on for a lot of BS is Mike Evans. He's probably going to get a better guy in return from Mike Evans or Brandon Cooks. Mike Evans and Brandon Cooks for someone off of B-Magic's team, probably hot take. Okay? So I am not going to say anything about Johnny because he's a It's a seller's market. He knows how to talk a lot of BS, and that's what he's going to do. Anyway, let's get to the game. Thomas Brady versus Matthew Stafford. Give me Thomas Brady. Did anybody watch the Falcons? Now, Stafford is going to be A-okay, but I mean, Brady might go for 30 plus. I'm going to say Tom Brady 33, Matt Stafford 24. Speak of the devil. Mike Evans and Tyler Lockett versus Jamar Chase and Courtland Sutton. First thing we got to talk about. Jerry Jeudy ankle didn't look very good. He's not out for the season, but let's not kid ourselves. This is going to be like a 6 to 8 week injury. For anybody who's optimistic about 4 weeks, you're out of your mind. Courtland Sutton, Allen, I don't know if you checked Twitter, buddy, but everybody's going crazy out of the footwork drill. Now, Allen, I hope you don't have high blood pressure, but I'm going to say some things, and I'm going to let you know that no pause or cause for panic. A photographer had leaked video of Courtland Sutton doing a footwork drill. And during the footwork drill, Courtland Sutton looked like he was walking on one leg. Now, a footwork drill for wide receivers, they're not meant to sprint at full speed. They're working on their cuts. But regardless, to the naked eye, the guy still looks like he's dealing with something. All a footwork drill is just working and getting yourself loose. It's to loosen wide receivers up. It's pretty much the same thing as when you go to the gym and you lift 5-pound weights to, get blood running into your muscles or something like that. So I wouldn't panic too much. I know the fantasy community is panicking because that's what they do. They don't know football. They know numbers, and they just listen to a whole bunch of bullshit, which is why I don't go into the fantasy community, because I'd probably get too heated and passionate over it, and I don't like the type of people that deal with that crap. Anyway, because they don't know football. Mike Evans, Tyler Lockett versus Jamar Chase and Courtland Sutton. Sutton's in a good matchup. Jamar Chase is in a great matchup. Mike Evans is in a good matchup. Tyler Lockett is probably in the best matchup out of all of them. I am going to have to go with a solid... So I think Lockett and Chase have good weeks. Mike Evans and Courtland Sutton to me are very big question marks because they're both iffy. And for that, guys, I'm going to head out with a draw. I think Lockett scores a touchdown. Mike Evans, I'm not too confident. Courtland Sutton, I'm not too confident. Jamar Chase, though, I am a little bit confident in. If I had to say who has the better chance to score a touchdown, Mike Evans or Courtland Sutton, I would say Mike Evans only because the Broncos are capable of running the ball. Buccaneers aren't. So the Broncos might have to get Javonte Williams a little bit loose. So if I had to lean, I'd go more of the Johnny side. Najee Harris and Nyheim Hines being thrusted into a starting role versus Javonte Williams and DeAndre Swift. Najee Harris got the volume and didn't do anything with it against the Bills. Now, Johnny, I don't know if this means one or two things. Either the Bills defense improved, or the Steelers line is just what we thought they were, and they're not going to produce Najee Harris into a running back one value. Nyheim Hines. Okay, it's been a while since we've seen satellite backs be startable, and Nyheim Hines did this last year too. How often is he going to be used in the game? If it's going to be him and Taylor and nobody else, okay, maybe I think that Nyheim Hines might be having the floor of James White with some explosive games, and okay, maybe you can laugh to the bank with that, but like I talked with Mike Williams, I've seen this before. He goes off and then he disappears. Allen owned him last year. Javonte Williams and DeAndre Swift. Javonte Williams, he might score his first touchdown this week. I could say that. DeAndre Swift in garbage time yet again. Allen's favorite running back. I think DeAndre Swift is going to slowly become Allen's new Michael Thomas for his favorite player. I think that's just the way it's going to happen. Against a Green Bay defense that can't stop the run at all, I think he breaks one as well. If I'm having to choose, I know Najee is in a great matchup. I know Nyheim Hines is going to get his, but I do like this Allen side a little bit better. Travis Kelce and Kyle Pitts. Let's not kid ourselves. Travis Kelce. Okay. So the combo that I just don't like. I like these players individually. I don't like them on the same team. Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook versus Julio Jones and Brandon Cooks. Okay. The Vikings are probably going to be trailing, which means that this might be better for Allen. If the Vikings were leading this game, I think... No, I'd probably still take the Allen side. Dalvin Cook last week when they were trailing and catch up of mine had 17 points. Justin Jefferson wound up with 10. Now, the reason why I'm not saying he should have had 17, that means that Dalvin Cook took the touchdown. This is why I don't like that. You're sustaining a decent floor, but you're not hitting upside. So if it's still something around 20 points for Dalvin, 10 for Justin Jefferson, or 17, okay, it's not bad. But can they outproduce what's on the other side? Julio Jones in a good matchup and Brandon Cooks, who's not in a good matchup. In this case, Allen, I'm going to say yes. New Orleans D against Carolina, very, very good claim right there. Very good claim. I was wondering why they weren't drafted. I think people needed to see what they could do in week one. La-di-da, here we are. What they did in week one. But we got the Washington D against Daniel Jones. Give me the Washington D against Daniel Jones. But it's a good pickup, Johnny. I didn't say, okay, over and under time. So they have Johnny at 133. I'm going to take the under on 133. I'm going to say Johnny puts up 125. I'm going to take the over on the 128 side from the Allen side. You mean it, Kamish? No. I'm going to take the under on that as well, now that I'm looking at this. I think this is probably the closest game to call. I can't make a decision for my life here. Scratch that. I like Kelce a lot. I forgot about that. I'm going to take the over on the 133. Forgot about if I look at this lineup without Travis Kelce, I'm taking the under by a mile. But Travis Kelce makes that much of a difference, and I think he gets the job done as well. No. This is a tough one to call, boys. I'm going to say Johnny 135 and Allen 132. It's a close call. All right. The main event for this week is only based on two things. And it's only based on three things. Three things, and I'll tell you those three things. Record. Only two undefeated teams that are playing up against each other head-to-head. I know it's week one. Harsh came out swinging. It's the championship. You're going to put the champion in the main event picture because people want to respect the title. That's what's happening here. He's going over a guy who is one of the founding fathers of hype, myself. Also want to know, although my victory I got lucky on is not so much. Other reason why this is the main event, Yahoo finally got it right. The projections are very, very high for both teams. It's going to be a very, very close matchup. Very close. Very close. A very close matchup. And the third reason why I'm putting this as the matchup of the week, the teams are set up and structured the same. It's a high-powered passing first type of offense. 4 wide receivers, 2 running backs being started. An elite quarterback leading the charge. Breakout tight end candidates. And defenses in good matchups. What isn't there to love? When I look at this, they're mirror images of each other. It just matters of matchups coming into place. And I got news for you as well. The matchups are even very, very favorable on both sides. There is only, when I look at it, and I'll get to it in a minute, if there are any questionable calls here, I see 2 questionable calls on my end, and I have 1 questionable call on Harsh's end. I'm going to break down the main event of the week, myself taking on the vintage one. I love this matchup because these teams are exactly identical. And that makes me nervous because it's like you got to be on your A game. Everybody's got to hit. Fire on all cylinders. The minute one of your guys slips up, you need somebody else to carry the load, and it's going to be hard because you know that other guy on the other team's got good matchups. Speak of the devil. Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson have probably the 2 best matchups of this week. Russell Wilson goes back to the Hawks' nest against a Tennessee defense that just looked like they didn't know how to play football. They can't generate any pass rush, and the only way you beat Seattle is if you get a pass rush here. Kyler Murray, okay, I had him last year. He would have been the MVP had not been for that shoulder. They would have been in the playoffs. Murray dropped 40-plus points. Let me say this right now. Murray's floor, okay, this is not sugarcoating it. Kyler Murray has a floor of 25 to 30 points. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. Russell Wilson's got a lower floor. I think his is maybe around the 20 to 25 range. Maybe. But it's Kyler Murray at home against the Vikings, and it's Russell Wilson at home against the Titans. Cardinals run a lot of plays. The Seattle offense looked efficient. What isn't there to love? My prediction, I wrote this down. I think Wilson has 33 points, and I think Murray puts up 42. I've got to give the advantage to Harsh, even though both these men are going to go back and forth. The receivers, DK Metcalf and Allen Robinson versus A.J. Brown and CeeDee Lamb. I love it, too, because both Ole Miss boys going head-to-head in fantasy and in real life. DK versus A.J. Brown. Both in solid matchups. Thing that might benefit Harsh more is if the Seahawks go up very, very early, that's only going to benefit A.J. Brown because then they have to be one-dimensional. They got to throw all game. So the game script, while it looks like it's going to be smooth sailing for the Seahawks, it might actually benefit Harsh. Allen Robinson got 11 targets. Now he gets a better matchup. But we saw what CeeDee Lamb did against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and now he's against the LA Chargers. Keep saying San Diego. Because of what I saw from CeeDee Lamb last week and what I didn't see from Allen Robinson, okay, I'm going to take the easy way out of this one, and I'm going to go advantage Harsh simply because of there was a lack of production on the Allen Robinson side, not so much the CeeDee Lamb. Okay. This is one of the biggest difference makers here is the running backs. You've got top-end running back ones and then guys who are just wild cards. They're placeholders. It's Aaron Jones versus Gibson, Mike Davis versus Ronald Jones. So I'm going to give this a draw. I think that Gibson should be okay. Jones should bounce back. Mike Davis is in a terrible matchup, though. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he only got 5 points. And the 5 points are going to be him because he caught 6 balls, not because he was able to run for 50 yards. Ronald Jones has a very good matchup, but we see this is why I don't like the guy. The minute he does something good, he follows it up with something stupid, and this guy has always lived in the doghouse. Bruce Arians came out and said he's going to start. What does that even mean? He gets 1 carry a game, and then they bring in Leonard Fournette. Who knows? But I will say that Rojo's got a tremendous matchup potential here, and I will say that he is a sleeper in this matchup. He honestly is, spoiler, he's the X factor in this matchup. I hate to admit it, but it's true because everything else is such a coin flip. But one thing I can tell you, Mike Davis is not going to get any running room. It's just you saw how good this run defense is. I think them and Pittsburgh are number 1 and number 2. I think, honestly, Tampa might be number 1 over Pittsburgh at this point. I like Aaron Jones to bounce back against Detroit. I think every Packer scores a touchdown or something like that, but it's a draw. I got no lean one way or the other. Tyler Higbee and Logan Thomas. So Logan Thomas and Tyler Higbee, I think, played the most amount of snaps of any tight end in the league in week 1. Higbee's usage, I think this is what everybody thought they were getting from him last year. No Gerald Everett gone. You're freeing up Tyler Higbee, guys. Logan Thomas, though, he might benefit because if they're focused on Terry McLaurin, Logan Thomas could be a nice guy. But I'll call a draw on that one as well. Cooper Kupp and Marquez Callaway versus Adam Thielen and Deebo Samuel. Well, looks like we know who the wide receiver 1 in San Fran is at this point. Congratulations yet again, Harsh. Adam Thielen proving me wrong again with 2 touchdowns, and he's in a matchup where they're going to have to throw the ball. They're not going to keep pace. I love this correlation you got going here. You got Kyler Murray throwing bombs left and right, and then you're going to follow it up with Adam Thielen. It's a good combo. And it's awesome because you know they're going to have to throw.
I still think that Jefferson obviously is the better talent, but if he keeps getting away with these touchdowns, nice job.
Look, I know Cooper Kupp balled out. He's not the guy I want to talk about, though. It's Marquez Callaway. The Saints didn't need to throw the ball. Packers weren't prepared. Saints ran a high school offense and were able to do that because for the fourth year in a row, Packers don't know how to stop the run. Even in my dearest of hearts, I think that Marquez Callaway can have a nice bounce back game against the Carolina Panthers. I really do, because I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball down their throats. They might have to rely on some pass plays. I'm going to risk it for the biscuit. I'm going to stick with them. Jalen Waddle, Harsh, might be a game time decision guy I can throw in, and the only reason why is because we see this in time and time again. Buffalo, you attack them on the inside. Don't attack the perimeter. Harsh, I think you know that better than I do. You don't want to get in a matchup with Tre'Davious White. Tua might have to rely on his college buddy, Jalen Waddle. I might do something stupid. But hey, Bruce Arians said it best. Don't risk it, no biscuit. Good counter move here with the Cleveland D. I wasn't going to waste money on defenses because I don't have anybody to drop. Denver D looks great. Urban Meyer is taking a USC job. He doesn't want to be here. Urban Meyer said, guys, yeah, I'll only coach if you pay me this much. Oh, thanks for the free money. I'm dipping. It's just going to happen. Cleveland against Houston. It's a good counter. Tyrod Taylor doesn't look like he turns over the ball, though. He might take a lot of sacks, though. Boom. Keys to victory. Harsh. The line opened originally at 137 to 123, and I think the 123 is because Harsh had a defense that was in a bad matchup. Now it's at 135 to 135, and honestly, this is a coin flip. The X factor is Ronald Jones for the Harsh side of things, and the X factor on my side, believe it or not, is Marquez Callaway. These are guys that had really bad week ones, but in game scripts that could kind of benefit both of them. Because I think that I don't know. It could benefit them. If I do have a hot take here, though, on any of this matchup, I'm just going through it. I think that there are people on the bench that are going to outscore starters. Hot take. Oh, God, I hope this comes correct. I'm going to pray to God right now and say, dear God, I know Kyle Shanahan has a twisted mind, but if you could have him have Trey Sermon active this week and play some football like he was born to do, I would appreciate that, considering I am a man who spent a 6th-round pick on Trey Sermon, and I'm not trying to see Trenton Cannon be active over him, because if that's the case, then Kyle Shanahan is the worst. Who does he think he is? I'm sorry. I do think my hot takes are that there are a lot of guys on the bench on both teams. Jalen Waddle, Trey Sermon that might have really good games, and Van Jefferson and Devonta Smith. So I think my hot take is that one of us might make a mistake somewhere by starting somebody over. But I'm saying that only because you're not starting them over certain other guys. But my hot take is that Trey Sermon gets active. That's my hot take. Keys to victory. If Nick wins my side, bounce backs need to happen from Allen Robinson and who is this? Aaron Jones. If those two bounce back, step one. Step number 2, battle of the flexes. That's where it's going to come down to it. I think that the running backs are even. I think that the receivers are even. And I think that the quarterbacks and tight ends are even. Flexes. Let's see what we got here, guys. And my third key to victory is this needs to be a game where the Rams are still going to throw. If the Rams get up on a team like the Colts, which they're probably going to, I think it bodes pretty bad for me because then they're going to ride Darrell Henderson. But you need Tyler Higbee and Cooper Kupp. They need to be a little bit more active. Key to victory to Harsh. CeeDee Lamb. Okay, Dallas and the LA Chargers. I keep saying San Diego. They're going to be in a back-and-forth shootout. Joe Frazier versus Mike Tyson. Or no, Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson, biting ears, biting kneecaps.
CeeDee Lamb needs to deliver in a shootout. Ronald Jones is my X factor because if he scores, that's going to give you a distinct advantage because, look, a bold take, Mike Davis is not scoring against this Tampa front. And number 3, baby, Thursday night, Gibson. Okay, Gibson is the captain of this team, and Gibson needs to deliver. Well,